Wait, number of children in all by this marriage, 4? So my grandmother had 3 siblings, which just, I've only known her to have 1 sibling. I'm just in shock that there were 2 more siblings. I don't know anything about my grandmother's life, her family, her parents. My mom wanted a different life. The minute she could, she left Newark. That was something my grandmother never could do. I think my grandmother was horrible to my mother, and I started disliking her at a very young age. And the stronger my bond with my mother became, the more I resented her mother. I wanna like my grandmother. What made her the type of person who gets bitter and sad and afraid, and not, you know, what was in her character that came from her upbringing? All I know about my grandmother is that she had a sister, Lillian. My grandmother, Theresa Dollinger, was born in 1908, and my grandmother's younger sister, Lillian, in 1915. I'm meeting Michelle Chubenko, a genealogist with a specialty in New Jersey ancestry. She's going to help me find the birth certificates of my grandmother, Theresa, and her sister, Lillian. All right.
I'm hoping they might give me some clues about my grandmother's early life.
Doll. Wait. Theresa.
My grandmother's birth certificate doesn't tell me much. All it really tells me is that her mom's name is Ida, and she was born in Newark like my mom. But what about her sister, Lillian's birth certificate?
So Lillian Elizabeth Dollinger, born 26th of September, 1915. Wait, number of children in all by this marriage, 4? So my grandmother had 3 siblings, which just, I've only known her to have 1 sibling. I'm just in shock that there were 2 more siblings.
I've never heard of these other brothers or sisters before, but Michelle has found their birth certificates.
So, John.
Right, there was a John William Dollinger. Okay, so that's John. So there was a girl, a boy, a girl.
Okay, but you're gonna need to make room between these 2 because there's a Edward William.
Edward.
So my grandmother Teresa's 2 younger brothers were John, born in 1910, and Edward, born in 1914.
Number of children living,
2.
2.
Well, we know she's alive, so.
He had to have died.
Edward's birth certificate reveals that John had already died in infancy by the time Edward was born. I can understand why my grandmother never mentioned John. She was so young when he died. But what about Edward?
And now there's this boy, the second boy, Edward William Dollinger. Younger than my grandmother. But doesn't seem to die because by the time we get to Lillian, the numbers still make sense. I want to know Edward now. I want to know this guy.
You want to know?
I want to find out more. I want to get in there now. I want to. It's just, you feel like you're a detective of some kind.
Today, Brooke's in their old neighborhood, trying to learn more about her grandmother's life and make sense of the woman she knew.
My grandmother and my mom really didn't get along, so it's the first time that I've been back since I was a child. I'm meeting Newark historian Tom McCabe, who's going to show me around.
I think one of the great views of Newark is just down here. This is Ferry Street, the spine, the nerve center of this immigrant neighborhood. And I found this picture from 1910, which, as you can see,
This is the same view. Okay, so this was taken in 1910. My grandmother, where was my grandmother?
at this period of time, just over your right shoulder, she would have been living right over here at the corner store.
At Easy Pickens?
At
She was
Pickens.
living at Easy Pickens?
Yes. So this is, you know, a streetscape that she would have been very familiar with.
Oh, that's amazing.
Two of her siblings were born across the street here at 148 and a half. It is now the Banco Popular. Lily and Edward were born right across the street.
Right across the street.
They moved around quite a bit, 12 times in 12 years. Those at the lower part of the economic ladder are going to be the most vulnerable, the most insecure. They're going to be moving, looking for the best rent out of necessity.
My mom left Newark when she was very young, and I grew up in a very different world than my grandmother. I really am beginning to understand how hard it must have been for her. I'm meeting Michelle Chubenko. She's found out more about Theresa and her brother Edward.
I did additional research, and I want to share those documents with you today. This is Ida's death certificate. So this is Theresa's mom.
Date of death, January 12th, 1919.
Yes.
She died at 38.
She died of cancer, uterine cancer.
Uterine cancer at 38. God. My grandmother lost her mother when she was
10.
That'll do it. My grandmother then really did have to be a parent to
her younger sibling.
From the time that my grandmother was a little kid, she had to be an adult.
Yeah.
Really be an adult.
So I do have one more document for you. We have a certificate of death for Edward.
Oh my God. This is him. Accidental drowning while she was taking care of him, presumably. Or there was no mom.
There was no,
There was no mom. 13 years old, 1 month, 15 days.
Yes.
Trade profession school. Okay. Her younger brother that she was a mother to for 8 years, basically. So it's like she lost a son as well as a brother.
Yeah.
She didn't have it easy. But this is deep loss. Your heart then just goes out to her, you know? Michelle gave me an article on Edward's drowning. So I've come to the very spot where the incident occurred. The drowning of Edward Dollinger of 215 North 4th Street was attributed to the heat. He and other boys, pupils of Lincoln School, had gone in bathing in the Passaic River. Dollinger could not swim. As he was sinking, Joseph Wesnick grabbed him but lost his hold. The body was recovered by the police near the scene of the drowning. Loss after loss after loss. It takes a toll on, your soul. I don't think she could have ever healed from all of these wounds, one after the other. It's sad. It's really, really sad. I understand my grandmother now. I understand how she could resent my mother. She was the oldest, and she then had to take care of the family. My mom was the oldest, and she ran away. I have empathy for her, and I don't mind having it.